I'm here at the Mom's Choice Awards. I'm interviewing Tara Paterson. She has a new book out, Raising Intuitive Children. Tara, great to talk to you.
Thank you.
What prompted you to write a book?
I have 4 intuitive children. Well, 3. I have an infant, so I'm not sure yet. But I just, I noticed with my children that there were gifts that they had that they were just really sure about. And in watching them grow and develop, I started to tune in on their special gifts. And my co-author, who has been in psychotherapy and education and all these different things, really noticed the way that I was parenting them, and we would talk about it. And it came to unfold that I was being very intuitive and knowing what worked for them, and having different children like you do with different ages, and they're all different personalities, and there's different things going on. I started to notice that what might work with one isn't going to work with another, and that it's okay if you feel that something isn't right. It's okay to do something different than what everybody else does. Trust your instincts, your intuition, mother's intuition.
But there's so many books out there, there's so many experts. I think it's hard for parents to know what your own intuition is. How do you define it?
That was a great question, because one of the things I've said, and I've been in the parenting business now for about 8 years. My oldest is 12, but I started out with a website. And I've done articles, and I have hundreds of articles, and I've done magazines, all these things, and I've never been able to call myself an expert. And the reason is because I don't feel that I can tell you what works for your child. And we're inundated with, like you said, books and TV talk show hosts and all these people telling us, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. But it doesn't always work like that. So I would start to feel if something wasn't working. So for example, maybe I yelled at my son about something, I reacted. Immediately I would have guilt. And I started to notice when I was wrong and I was reacting to him, the guilt would wash over me, and I would go back to him and say, look, I was upset, or something was going on, and I'm sorry. That it wasn't you, it was me. So I started to pick up these cues intuitively, these feelings. I didn't want to do something a certain way. Like, I don't force my kids to eat. And I realized with my younger son, trying to force him to eat something would be like putting needles in somebody. He would choose going to bed over eating. So I started to realize, wait a minute, my kids are really telling me what works for them. And I paid attention to that.
It's interesting that you say, I have a 5-month-old, as you just said, so I don't know yet if she's intuitive. What tells you if your child is intuitive?
Well, that actually was unfair, because I do know that she is. But what I've noticed, it's the awareness. They're so alert from birth. They have, the big eyes, and they're staring at you, and they're not sleepy when they come out. They're looking, and my infant was holding her head up at a week old, and
wow.
She was talking. She started cooing at 3 weeks. Talking to somebody over my shoulder. It was very, very definite. First of all, babies don't coo like that young. Right. Little things, grabbing on your finger right away. There's just this knowing that you have with the infant. It's a connection. And if you're really attuned to that, you are there to feel it, and you know it.
Yeah. So for people who are having their first children and are at home with infants right now and are feeling overwhelmed and really sort of lost, because that's a feeling of being in the woods,
Absolutely.
and sometimes not knowing your path. What advice do you have for them?
Trust yourself. Intuition is all about trust. And when we're young and our children come to us and they say something and we immediately brush it off, or we tell them they don't know what they're talking about, or that's not true, or don't worry about that, they start to question what they know. And it almost creates a duality. They start to they're not sure. It's like, I feel this way, but mommy's telling me no, and but I'm supposed to trust mommy. So we automatically have this distrust of things. So I would say trust, and it is hard. I'm not going to say that it's not. I had to work through a lot of my own baggage and emotional, stuff from, we all do. But we don't always have to go outside of ourselves for the answers. We have a built-in mechanism. You can call it, from God, from source, from whatever it is that you want to call it. We have that for a reason.
That's great. There's more great wisdom in your book, Raising Intuitive Children. Tara Paterson, thanks so much for talking.
Thank you so much, Allison.